Oh, we're live. You know what? We're just gonna fucking do it. Let's do it. What's up, everybody?
Here we are.
What's going on? My little different entrance this evening, but we got some time restraints, so we got to get this out there now. We're gonna talk some Packers, and they did the historical thing yesterday and didn't really make any moves. This has become pretty traditional. Wouldn't you guys say that?
Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, I think everybody had high hopes. Even Rogers was on the McAfee show, as he is every Tuesday yesterday, and he was even saying that he was hopeful that they may be able to break some news while he was on the show up until about 2 o'clock Eastern. And we all know how that ended. So
who the hell had high hopes? Did you have high hopes?
I had high hopes, but I didn't have a whole lot of.
Are they waiting for Brandon Cooks to get released and trying to be the first one on that waiver wire?
I had zero hopes. Zero hopes. I mean, you can shit in one hand and hope in the other and see what fills up faster is what my daddy always used to tell me. And I guarantee you, filling up shit with my hands is going to be a lot faster than any move Gutekunst makes. I have zero hope in this team. Boys, I mean, I had a funeral on my show for the Packers on Sunday. I'm 35 years old. I enjoy this team. I'm a lifelong Packers fan. This has been my least favorite Packers team of all time. They can't do a damn thing right. There's not one part of the aspect of this game where you walk away and say, you know what? Hey, at least we threw the ball right. Hey, at least we got a good offensive line. Or, hey, at least tackle. Hey, at least we do this. We can't do jack squat. All these first-round picks on our defense, 8 of 11 first-round picks, and we can't tackle. We're dead last in the freaking stopping the run. Are you – I mean, this team makes me want to drink. It's, I'm not going to get my blood pressure up. It is the 6-year anniversary of the Cubs winning the World Series tonight. So I'm trying to be in a good mood and reminisce of what the Cubs did and not think about how bad the Packers season.
We got a Brewers fan, a Pirates fan, and a
Dodgers not what I want to listen to right now. But no, I agree with you. It's been frustrating. I mean, like I said, I had hopes that they would do something, but I didn't necessarily have expectations that they would do anything. If anybody has followed this Packer team, we know that they're never going to do what everybody thinks is the obvious move that they should do, right? We've always said, why don't they sign more free agents, or why don't they do this? Why don't they do that? And they always seem to do the opposite. It's especially frustrating this year when everybody and their grandmother was coming into the season saying, why haven't they picked anybody up or done anything to shore up that receiver room? Sammy Watkins has never been anybody's idea of an actual playmaker, right? Outside of week 1 every year, he's just not the player that everybody thought he was going to be coming out of Clemson.
And Rex Ryan was the only person he ever thought was going to be a ball player. Rex Ryan, right? That was it.
And that was their big addition. Now I am a big fan and proponent of Allen Lazard. I think Allen Lazard is a good player. I think he was getting I think he got a lot of negative press or a lot of low expectation for him because I think people were like, wow, he's never been a top wide receiver. If you look, and I look at things from a fantasy standpoint, I write about fantasy. I talk about it. I podcast about it. I'm a fantasy football guy. From a fantasy standpoint, when you look at things, he scored the most points per touch of anybody in the top 50 fantasy scorers last season. He's a guy that makes the most of every opportunity he has. He just has not had that many opportunities with Davante Adams around. And you look at it this season, he's scored in 5 out of the 6 games that he's played, and he had 100 yards in the one that he didn't score in. The guy is capable of it. He was the all-time leading receiver for Iowa State University. He's still 6'5". He can still catch the damn ball. He's a good, legitimate receiver, but the problem is he's about the only one they have right now. Randall Cobb is older than I am.
The problem is
and shorter than I am, maybe even, and I'm not that big. They don't have anybody else who's consistent across from him. Now Romeo Dobbs looks like he can be a guy in this league, but he's still a damned rookie. They didn't go out and do anything to shore up and make sure that there was going to be a rock solid presence in this receiving core. And it shows. It has shown all year.
The problem is, Alan Lazard is good when healthy, but like I said all at the beginning of the season, he's never played 16 games, much less 17 games, and he's proven this year he can't play. He can't play. He can't stay healthy. Like Sammy Watkins fits that same mold. Sammy Watkins can't ever stay healthy. And now we drafted another guy, Mr. Glass, Christian Watson. He can't stay healthy. We just have a room full of guys that can't stay healthy. I do think Dobbs can be a guy. I know they were talking about Chase Claypool. I'd rather not make a move and then give up a second for Chase Claypool because I don't feel like he is that. I'm out on him as well, Mr. TikToker himself, Chase Claypool. So would that have been the move that we need to make to been like, hey, that's the move, everybody? Yeah, we're back in the playoffs.
They are not a Chase Claypool away. They are not a Chase Claypool away from turning this ship around.
And that's what I mean. So, sure. I mean, we could have said we want him to make a move, but the guy that they were in on was Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool, have fun in Chicago. We'll see you on Sundays twice a year.
Yeah. Have fun there.
So
where the passing game goes to die.
So last time they were on this type of pace, they did end up getting it together and playing Atlanta in the NFC Championship. Last time they lost 4 straight.
Yeah.
What was that, 2016, I believe?
RELAX. Relax. Yeah. Well, there's no relax moment right now because there's nobody to play. There's nobody you can play right now. Their offensive line, too, which has been a strength. It's been a strength of theirs, but they can't get everybody healthy at the same time and get everybody together on the same damned page. So guys, that's been a cluster, you know what?
Guys, here's the bottom line with the Packers offensively. Right now, the only 2 players on that offense that they can rely on consistently are Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. And unfortunately, you can't unfortunately, you can't hand the ball off to both of those guys for every single play in a 4-quarter game.
Well, they refuse to hand it off.
Yes,
half the time.
I was gonna say you can't even rely on A.J. Dillon because they don't even feed him the rock. Hell, it's
exactly.
Fourth, I mean, you go back to the London game, 4th and 3 or 4th and 1 on the, to win the damn game. We have this huge guy, Quadzilla, and we don't give it to him not one freaking time. No, we're trying to do slant routes and everything else. Feed it to him. Let him pick up at least a yard, at least one freaking time. What are we doing? I asked Aaron Rodgers is asking that. I ask myself that question every Sunday I watch this team. It makes me like this team is just not fun.
I think just my assessment, being a Packers fan out here on the West Coast, my feeling is I think Brian Gutekunst or whatever his name is, I think he seriously overplayed his hand in the offseason. I think he felt, knowing the Packers tradition of scouting, drafting, and developing young players and having them turn into stars and solid utility players, he probably looked at his roster. This is just a guess. I'm not saying he did. But he probably looked at his roster and said, hey, we got some potential here. I think these guys will do it. Unfortunately, that potential hasn't blossomed as much as he wants it to. And, I mean, I was actually a little bit more perturbed that they let Marquez Valdes-Scantling go than Davante Adams. I mean, the writing was on the wall with Davante. Aaron played a part in him leaving. Gutekunst played a part in him leaving. They both played a role equally.
Tay wanted to leave. He was offered more money than what he got in Las Vegas. And he still said, no, thank you. I'm going to go play with Derek Carr and lose games instead of stay here and possibly win games.
Well, at any rate, whoever wanted to stay, whoever didn't want to stay, the bottom line is they seriously overplayed their roster. They looked at it incorrectly, and now it's biting them in the butt. And you know what? Adam, you just mentioned a few years ago where they started off similar like this and they came back and won the division. It ain't going to happen, my friend. We have a better chance of charging hell with a bucket of water than watching the Packers run the table on this because they have so many holes on both sides of the ball. You can't just pinpoint one area, plug the gap, and say, okay, boom, we're better. Let's go. Ain't going to happen. It's a dream, my friend.
They're 4 games back on a Vikings team that doesn't show any signs of slowing down, who actually did go out and make a move to get better. And owns a win over them right now as well. So
I couldn't believe that trade happened in division.
I just talked about this on my show about an hour ago, actually. I believe it's the first intra-division trade that's been made since the Lions traded Glenn Milburn as a kick returner to the Packers back in 1998 when I was just fresh out of high school. This kind of thing doesn't happen, but apparently the Lions want the Vikings to win the division this year because they keep giving them shit. They did it during the draft. They're doing it now. They're ganging up. They're like, frick it. Well, let's go beat the Packers together. Let's do it.
Let me ask you this: is it time to fire Joe Barry? Because I mean, we can't stop the run. My 4-year-old son could probably rush for 100 rushing yards on this team. Like, that's how bad it is. I think it's time to maybe fire. And let me ask you this: we asked this question on my show on Sunday. It was asked to me: can the Packers even win 6 games this year? We have 3, and you look at their schedule; it doesn't look pretty. You can't tell me that we're better than the Cowboys, the Eagles. We have the Bears one more time, the Lions twice. Maybe we split with the Lions like we usually do.
Your problem is you're playing a first place schedule because you won your division last year.
Yeah, and
you're playing a tough division in the NFC East, who looks pretty good top to bottom right now overall. And it does not get any easier for this team going forward. And even in division now, I mean, we're talking about Sunday's game with the Lions. We're wondering if the Packers are going to be able to score enough points to keep up with the Lions. We're hoping that they can somehow find a way to run the ball enough to score points, not to throw the ball. And against the Lions, we're worried about that.
So are you scared of Josh Reynolds?
God damn, scared of everybody on that team right now because they can't stop anybody.
I'm scared of Swift. Swift's going to run for 200 yards on us.
Like you said, it has not been a fun team to watch this year. It's like I get last week. Oh, hey, we're playing at night. Great. All day I was like excited for it. And as soon as the game started, I was like, you know what? Why the hell was I excited for this? I don't even know why.
I was the exact opposite. I was like, I'm going to start drinking at 3:00 in the afternoon because I want to be so blacked out drunk because we're going to get our ass beat by the Bills. That's how little I think of our team and how highly I respect the Bills. Like, I thought I said before the game, you'd have to give me 14.5 points before I'd take the Packers. Now they did cover, but the game should have never been that close. Josh Allen throws a couple picks in the end zone that help us, like it shouldn't have been that close really. I mean, it's just, what are we like this team? Everybody wants to key on the receivers, but the offensive line is just as bad. The defense is it's every aspect of this team has been bad.
I totally get firing Joe Barry, but they're 3-6 after 9 games. Why fire him now? I mean, even if you fire him, there's no guarantee the defense is going to get better, even with an interim. So I think again, the damage has already been done. Just keep him on and then axe him at the end of the season. Why fire him after you're 3-6?
Right. I'm not usually a big proponent of mid-season coaching changes just because it's never a good thing. Now, this team may be sunk and lost anyway, but the whole mid-season coaching change thing really, you really have to be in dire straits for that to happen. I don't disagree that he's gone.
I agree with firing Joe Barry. I just don't think you should fire him now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just meant like in general at the end of the season. He'll be the scapegoat, right? He'll be the scapegoat for everybody else. There's always a scapegoat.
Be one of them. Yeah.
And he'll be the scapegoat for this year.
Yeah. Yep. Jason, you brought up earlier.
Yeah.
MVS, Marquez Valdes-Scantling. And I talked about him on my show an hour ago too. When we're looking back at MVS, like with some kind of wistful, like longing for the past, it's bad because he hasn't done anything special in Kansas City either, even with Patrick Mahomes. Marquez Valdes-Scantling is who we've watched him long enough up in Green Bay. He's going to run as far and as fast as he can. You're going to chuck it at him about 4 times a game down there. He's going to catch 1 to 2 of those. Might sneak into the end zone with one of them. The other 2 he's going to drop, and that's what you're going to get out of him every week. That's who he is. He was not going to be a Tyreek Hill replacement. He is not a number 1, 1A type kind of guy. He's not even necessarily a number 2 receiver, in my opinion. But he would look a hell of a lot better than a lot of what we got going on right now. What was that?
Is anyone coming back?
No.
You got another running back, right? Chris Camlin or something?
I mean,
you talk Kylan Hill? Is
Yeah.
I don't even know if Kylan Hill's coming off.
Yeah, I said he was going to play.
It doesn't matter. I mean, that's
They're not
gonna
going to handle
save
the ball.
anything. Before I get out of here, I'm gonna say this, then I'm gonna get out of here. I got to go do my own show here. I thought this year would be rough sledding at the beginning of the year, right? Like, hey, that last Sunday's game against the Bills, beginning of the year, I probably said that's probably a loss anyway, right? Buffalo Sunday night,
Right.
but there's no way in hell I ever would have thought we're losing to the Giants with Danny Dimes. We're losing to the Jets with Zach Wilson, and we're losing to the Reds Commanders, whoever the hell they are, with Taylor Heineke. Like, those 3 freaking wins right there, like, that's 3 wins you should have won. Those 3 games right now, those were supposed to be wins on the schedule. And then you lose to Minnesota week 1, whatever it is, what it is. We usually lose week 1, it seems like. And then
splitting Minnesota. Yeah, splitting with Minnesota wasn't anything to
and then
panic over, but it's the rest of that.
Losing to the Bills is probably, possible. So, a game that you probably look on the schedule beginning of the year, hey, we're just not up to that caliber yet, but we need to be playing our best ball later in the year. But those 3 teams right there, how you lose to those 3 teams, that showed to me like, hey, this ain't the team that we thought it was going to be, even, contending to win this division or maybe even make the playoffs. Our only saving grace of making the playoffs is every other team in the NFC absolutely freaking stinks. So Green Bay's only a game back, but we lost all the damn tiebreakers to the Commanders and the Giants. So, and we still got the Eagles and the Cowboys, and we're probably going to lose those 2 games because, they just look absolute better.
And now you've got the Seahawks, who look like they're going to actually contend for something. And so, you don't have the free path to the playoffs through the wild card, even that you might've thought you would have had. It's looking rough right now. They need to get something figured out. I think that if they can get their offensive line straightened out and get them to play the same 5 guys in the same order, left to right, for more than 3 quarters in a row, that would go a long way towards helping shore some things up, because they have not been great in pass pro right now. And they need to they need to get that consistency on the offensive line, but then they need to figure out what they can and can't do offensively and stick with it. It 1 week they look like they're actually going to try and run the football, and then the next week they're trying to throw all over the place to no one because they don't have anybody to throw to.
I'll holler at you guys later. Thanks a lot.
All right, Nick. Take it
Good
easy,
to see
man.
you, Nick.
See you guys.
And just to build on your comment there, sir, to make matters worse, they can't stretch the field anymore the way they could with Devontae.
No.
So, you're limited to short little 5, 6, and 7 yard passes from Aaron Rodgers. And quite frankly, that's not what makes Aaron Rodgers an effective quarterback.
No, he is he's averaging the lowest yards per pass attempt that he has in his entire career right now. And by a long shot.
Oh yeah. I saw the graphic last Sunday night, and it's bad. So you're this vanilla. This offense is not even vanilla. This offense right now is it's a puzzle without a picture. And bottom line, Chase, they don't know how to solve it.
No, I don't think they do right now. I think, like I said, if that offensive line, if they could get some consistency there, that would be a big start. Unfortunately, you can't help the guys have been injured. The guys have been in and out. They have actually gotten some decent play out of some of the newer additions, but it seems like nobody's in the same position from week to week. They move Elton Jenkins around, and they move the rookies in and out. Tom's moving around in and out, and occasionally they have
Mr. McCarthy, Mark, our other buddy who did the Packers with us, left us this little message down below. He is on date night with the wife tonight, so he will not be joining us.
Excellent.
But he left us a little message on what to say, so I figured I would post it for him.
Hasn't stuck with the run game. No, he's right. That's what we said. 3rd and 1. Yeah. In 3rd and 1, get out of the shotgun, put Dylan back there and let him pound. That's what he can do. And that's been part of the problem is they don't seem like they have an idea of what they can do, let alone what they want to do.
Yeah. Well, they're getting a lot of pressure. They're just not getting sacks on defense. And I don't understand it.
Defensively, it's been another nightmare. Teams have been able to just do pretty much whatever they wanted to on them, and it's been so frustrating to watch. Rashawn Gary's good. He rushes the quarterback well. I think they miss. It seems like they might miss Zadarius Smith's leadership, if nothing else, on that team, on that defense.
Yeah, he was the emotional leader of that defense.
Right.
He was one of the captains on that defense.
And they
So-
brought almost everybody back. So it's not like
Yeah.
they've had a giant drop off in talent.
Yeah, exactly. And it's one of those things where the Packers are comfortable with the status quo from the history of their franchise, and as far as them rebuilding and developing and not going out and spending exorbitant amounts of money to refill the talent pool right away. But it just makes me wonder if they're going to stick to this blueprint, and it seems like that they are. I mean, what does this mean for Matt LaFleur? What is this? And if they get rid of LaFleur after this year, which could happen, who do they replace him with? Sean Payton? I know Payton's name's been flown around, but I can't see Payton going to Green Bay myself. I think he would be more likely to land down in Tampa or Miami.
If he succeeds a Green Bay coach, it'll be Mike McCarthy down in Dallas that he succeeds.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't think he'll come north.
No. But it's we were talking a lot about firing Joe Barry, but I mean, Matt LaFleur, stop me if you've heard this 1,000 times, guys, is supposed to be this offensive genius. And I'm not seeing a lot of that genius right now. Josh McDaniels is supposed to be an offensive genius. And the Raiders right now, these guys couldn't score at a high school prom, just like the Packers couldn't. So,
the Raiders definitely didn't score this weekend.
Yeah, right. So getting back to LaFleur, I'm kind of surprised that more Packers fans haven't started going on Twitter and opining fire LaFleur yet, but maybe I'm just missing them and I'm not seeing them.
Well, yeah, wouldn't that be something now? Guy wins 13 games each of his first 3 seasons as a head coach. I mean, you wouldn't think that guy would have anywhere near a hot seat. And it makes you wonder, because my comment had been like with the Nathaniel Hackett debacle going on right now out in Denver. He was the offensive coordinator. He was the offensive coordinator who didn't call any freaking plays. So how much did he really have to do with the offensive success of the last 3 years? Yeah. But by that same token, now he's gone.
Yeah.
And what are we seeing offensively? It makes me wonder, is Hackett one of those guys who works really, really well as a coordinator or as a, he's the run game, the passing game coordinator. They call it, sometimes they give a guy the passing game coordinator title or whatever. Was he really good at helping implement LaFleur's overall scheme into game plans? You know what I mean? Is he just not one of those guys? I played for a couple of guys in college. When I was in college, my first 2 years, I played for a man wonderful man, good person, great offensive mind, but was just not necessarily cut out to run the entire program. And because he was an offensive mind, we were losing games 42-35 every week. It seemed like we were scoring points left and right, and we were one of the top rushing offenses in the nation. They fired him after my sophomore year, and we elevated our defensive coordinator to head coach. And again, wonderful man, wonderful human being, great football mind, but again, not necessarily cut out to run the whole program. And now, where we had been losing games 42-35 and 40, that kind of thing, 38-35. Now we were losing games 13-6 because we were playing defense like nobody's business, but there was no overarching concept for the other side of the ball. And we've seen that happen before in the NFL, where some guys, and at the college level too, there are some guys who are just not cut out to be that head top run the entire program guy. They're great football minds, great coordinator types, great position coach types or whatever, but just can't run the whole thing. And so it makes me step back and look and say, okay, hey, with LaFleur and with Hackett being gone and Luke Getsy being gone now and being the offensive coordinator down in Chicago, Getsy looks like he might actually be learning on the job. I'm not a giant fan of him being a coordinator when he'd never called plays and stepping up from being a quarterback coach. But how much did those guys have in terms of the formulating the game, the week in, week out plan and the overarching concept of things that comes from LaFleur's scheme? I would be interested to see that, because right now it's just not working. They look rudderless.
Yeah, I hear you. And I gotta admit, Chase, I'm an Aaron Rodgers fan, but I'm a little disappointed, but not surprised that Aaron hasn't really stepped up to be more of a leader in this situation. He's come out and said a few comments trying to sound optimistic, but when I see him out there on the field every Sunday, it just looks like he doesn't want to be out there playing football, at least not for the Packers. We don't see the same drive and determination to win football games that we saw in the prime of his career when he won his first and only Super Bowl ring to date. It doesn't seem to be for Aaron, like he doesn't have anything invested in this organization anymore because aside from talking to the media, I would like to see the guy get up into players' faces on the sideline. I'd like to see him start pulling face masks up to his and start saying, "Get your shit straight. Let's quit dropping balls." Of course, it would have helped if he had attended OTAs as well. I mean, that would have been a great leadership thing right there. But he's Aaron Rodgers.
When your entire receiver core was brand ass new.
So I guess you can afford to be hypocritical when you're one of the best quarterbacks in the league. But at any rate, that's few and far between. But again, I'm disappointed in Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry.
He was at practice today.
He skipped therapy for his thumb and went to practice today.
Pin a medal on him, Adam. Pin a medal on him. Yeah.
No, I agree. It reminds me, like you said, he just doesn't seem he doesn't seem as invested on the field right now. He looks frustrated when things don't work out. Well, okay, then what are you going to do about that? And he's made some comments in the media, but making comments in the media doesn't fix anything, especially with these young guys. He made the comment, on the McAfee show. He made the comment last week. Oh well, if some guys aren't getting it done, maybe give other guys a chance. And I'm trying to look and see who the hell else do you think is supposed to be getting a chance right now? Because literally the only guy who hasn't freaking played is your backup, dude. Right. Because every offensive lineman has seen the field because of injuries. Randall Cobb is your guy that you made them bring back, and he's been hurt now. Sammy Watkins has been hurt and hasn't had a chance. So, and Watson's hurt, and Touré's even seeing the field now. Are you trying to tell us that Samori Touré, your 7th round pick, who's 3'8", and and has caught all of 3 balls now in the league? Nope. He's supposed to be the guy. Like, he's the only guy who hadn't played. Him or Juwan Winfrey.
Chase, over a week ago, the Indianapolis Colts decided to bench Matt Ryan, in part because of a clause in his contract, but also in part because he was just playing bad football. And they decided to run the rest of the season, barring injury, with Sam Ehlinger. At this point, I think the Packers should do something similar. Bench Aaron Rodgers. Make a statement to him. Send a statement to him. Bench Aaron Rodgers. Bring in Jordan Love. You're 3-6. Your schedule, again, like we just alluded to, doesn't get easier. It gets harder.
Lions,
and if they're
Cowboys, Titans,
Eagles,
Bears.
Yep.
The bye week finally, which might be well needed.
Yeah.
Then you come back playing the Rams, and then the Dolphins and Vikings, and then close out with the Lions, right?
Yeah. Lots of luck with that. So from my point of view,
that is not easy.
Yeah, it's not going to get any better. So why not bench Aaron, bring in Jordan Love, and make a statement, see what happens?
You just brought up their late ass bye week this week as the worst possible time you can have it, in my opinion, right now for them this season. If there was ever a season they needed the earlier bye week, it would have been this year. It would have allowed them. It would. I mean, with all the. I mean, and everybody's banged up. Everybody gets banged up, and the whole joke about how the day before your first game is the best you're going to feel till after the season. Everybody's banged up. Everybody's got some injuries right now. But between that and between needing some time to just step back and be able to get some things right and work on some things, the late bye week this year could not have been a worse situation for them, I don't think. They need some time to be able to step back and work on some things and take that look in the mirror that I don't think they've had time to yet. I agree with you. It would be an interesting thing to see if they decided to just turn it over to Love. I think it's frustrating because I don't want to see the end of his. I don't want to see the end of his tenure be like that. But he's kind of been driving it towards that. He's kind of been driving it that direction anyway.
Yeah, and look, I don't even Chase. Actually, hold on, Adam. I'm sorry, you were trying to say something before I shot in.
I said there's going to be a lot of money sitting on the bench. You said Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, but there's also a lot of money.
That's probably going to be a bitching complaint from every fan almost.
Well, so what, Adam? There's a lot of money sitting on the bench in Indianapolis as well with Matt Ryan. I don't hear their fans complaining. I understand it's kind of apples and oranges with Ryan and
Jonathan
Rodgers.
Taylor is sucking ass right now.
Here's the thing: you came into this season, and you were going to be paying your quarterback position was going to be getting the money that Love is getting and Rodgers is getting anyway. That was what you were paying your quarterback position. I don't necessarily know that it would help, but if Love stepped in and was giving you actual starting quarterback level play, you were still going to be paying that money, whether it's him throwing touchdowns or Rodgers throwing touchdowns. So from the standpoint of that, from the team standpoint, your costs were already sunk day one of the season. It's time to figure out and find out who can play. And that's not just at quarterback. And I still think that Aaron Rodgers is one of the most physically gifted players in the league. And I think that he still gives them, I still do think he gives them the best chance to win. However, everywhere else on the field should have that same philosophy though.
Right.
We were going to be playing these people anyway. Just because we gave a ton of money to whomever doesn't mean that guy's got to see the field right now.
You're right. And actually, Chase, you kind of put me in my spot there a little bit. I put a lot of the blame on Aaron, but like there are 12 guys on a football field. And so everyone's got to take some measure of responsibility. But unfortunately, most of that light shines on Aaron because of who he is, because he's been part of that organization for probably as long, if not longer, than Brett Favre.
Right.
So, but again, there's 12 players on a football field for a reason. There's equal blame to go around to everyone.
And that light probably needs to shine up a little bit more in the booth when and Brian Gutekunst sitting up there, like you said.
I agree wholeheartedly. I agree. I agree.
I used to get frustrated every year I get frustrated a lot as a Brewer fan. I always got frustrated. They never seemed like they wanted to bring in any pitching. They never seemed like they wanted to bring any pitching, never bring any pitching, never any pitching. Well, now they finally developed some pitching and they brought some guys in, but it always seemed like such a dereliction of duty to not bring in any pitching when pitching was always the detriment of their team. It was always the weakness of their team.
Yeah.
And now everybody in the league, inside and outside the league, from other executives to former players for the team, to current players on the team, to pundits, to, fans. And like you said, the Twitter brigade, everybody could see that they had not done enough to address the wide receiver position and the pass catching position. And it has sorely shown. And I think that has been proven right. Yeah, sometimes they prove you wrong. Sometimes they prove you wrong and you say, oh, they should have gone out and signed this guy. And then that guy goes out and has a terrible year. And the guy that they're paying just above league minimum to, comes in and has a, phenomenal year as a solid starter. That happens a lot. And they're making those decisions for a reason. And you and I are sitting here talking about it on the interwebs for a reason too.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, it's time to admit when you were wrong. And I can't believe that yesterday they would not admit they were wrong and make more of an effort. Now, I don't know what went on behind the scenes, but the fact they didn't come out of yesterday with anybody who can catch the freaking football, is an
beyond belief.
Travesty. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Beyond belief. Adam, who was the guy you said that was on the waiver wire that could potentially find a landing spot?
Brandon Cooks is ready to be released from the Texans here within the next couple of days, apparently. He has not been in practice all week. He's demanded to be traded. They wouldn't trade him. So they're talking about just releasing him.
Now, have you seen anything, Jason, on that situation? Did you see anything about what happened with him supposedly?
You know what, Chase? It's just a rift between player and organization. Cooks feels like he's been underutilized.
Right.
Basically feels like his talents just aren't appreciated, and he just flat out wants out. He's a disgruntled player. He just wants to get a fresh start somewhere else. I think the Texans would be his sixth or seventh team in the last 9 years.
He's been traded more than anybody except Eric Dickerson, I think, in his career. And that's not a joke.
Right.
But if he had been traded yesterday, he would have tied him for it, I believe.
Yeah.
And it would have been his first in-season trade. But it looked like it. Now, from what I saw, he was like, oh, the Rams, and now everybody had him linked to the Packers. I think they had him linked to several places, including Los Angeles, the Rams, and he said he was willing to maybe even take a cut or like rework his contract to facilitate a Rams move. But it looks like, from what I saw yesterday, it looked like the Cowboys had stepped in late and
Yeah.
tried to make an offer, and they couldn't get anything to work out. And the thought of them not getting anything worked out, but then here now 2-3 days later, if they're possibly ready to release him or willing to give him that release when they could have literally gotten anything for him yesterday, just seems like such an absolute cluster F of a situation and such a dropped ball on their part. You could have gotten something.
They could have gotten at least a 3rd round pick for him at the worst.
And getting anything would be better than having to release him here this week if it comes to that. They're supposed to play tomorrow night, and he has not practiced yet this week. And who the hell knows if he'll play tomorrow night? And if he does, who knows if he gives it the Antonio Brown treatment or not?
Is the game in region or is it in Eagles?
I think it's in Houston.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
I think
funny.
it's in
Houston's
Houston.
playing Houston and Philly are both playing, though.
But I mean, to count on, first off, it's such a stupid situation for them. And then his old cryptic tweet afterwards about, I've covered up for the lies for too long. That I find an interesting situation. I want to see what comes out of that. Is he talking about the Deshaun Watson situation? Is he talking about other things like what? The
Browns have said Watson's going to start too against the Texans.
Was intriguing. Yeah.
Wow.
But I'm wondering if he does hit the market, I wonder if the Packers would even think about bringing him in. They've been linked to Odell Beckham, but they linked him last year and lowballed him on that offer.
Chase, let's be honest with each other here, all right? If they didn't go out and get a quality receiver at the deadline, what makes you think they're actually going to go out and pick up somebody off the waiver wire?
Exactly. And that's I think that's the point, and that's the frustrating thing about the whole thing is right now, and Rodgers actually had a quote today and said that. He came out and said, wow, I guess we just got to try and win with what we got. Well, yeah.
Yeah, that says it all.
Because that's their philosophy right now upstairs.
Yep, it says it all.
And I don't see why it had to be that way. When you've come a handful of plays away from the Super Bowl for so long,
it hurts. It hurts.
Yeah,
because I know. I remember watching Mendenhall just lost the ball.
It's just
years later. As he said that. Looked like a fumble to me though.
Well, I think if AJ Dillon doesn't injure his hamstring or his quad in that NFC division game against the 49ers,
much different game. Yeah.
Much different game. Green Bay probably goes on and wins, but who knows? That's all conjecture at this point.
Much different. Yeah. In hindsight, and woulda, shoulda, couldas, but when they've been that close and they brought back enough guys that you would think it shouldn't have been. The contrast between the two teams should not have been as stark as it has been this year so far.
Yeah, right.
Bringing even one name in should have helped that situation.
Yeah.
So who would have you went after?
Who would I have gone after?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they tried to keep Adams. They did try to keep Adams, but when he didn't re-sign with them, they needed to go out and try and find one of those guys, one of those top end type guys. And I saw a lot of people out there. Oh, Julio Jones is available. T.Y. Hilton's available. Yeah, well, T.Y. Hilton's still available. Julio Jones
be able to do anything.
Julio Jones is he's brittle as all hell. He's looked good when he's seen the field. He scored again last week, but he's only played basically 2 games for them in Tampa Bay. He wasn't the answer either. But Cooks, there was availability before the season. There was talk of him being available before the season. That would have been something that they could have gone out and done. There was talk. I mean, AJ Brown got moved to the Phillies. The money they were going to give to Davante Adams, they could have swung that same kind of deal and brought in an AJ Brown type, or if they could have swung that same kind of a deal for say a DK Metcalf or Terry McLaurin, who were also rumored to be available. If they were willing to give that kind of money to Davante Adams, and I think Davante Adams is one of the top receivers in the league, and I mean like top 3 or 4 because of his route running ability and his physical talents otherwise. But his route running ability makes him such a like scheme proof type player. But he's finding out like countless other Packer wide receivers who have moved on in the past. It's not as easy when somebody else who's not going to the Hall of Fame is throwing you the football. I just think that there were moves that could have been made. And like I said, I think that when it became apparent that A.J. Brown was available, when it became apparent that Terry McLaurin or DK Metcalf may have been available, even Brandon Cooks, even he's not on the same level as them, but he's a legitimate wide receiver in this league and he's a legitimate starter and has talent. There were moves that could have been made and they just seemed to put the blinders on to all of them. As soon as Davante Adams left, they were done.
Just a quick update real quick, guys. It is 0-0 in the top of the fifth, but the Astros have bases loaded and no outs.
My boy Ryan in Philly's got to be going nuts right now.
Right?
Yeah.
He said he broke his phone the other day, so I don't know.
I believe him. I was on the cast with him last night. He game one, I think. But
They're going live at midnight tonight, my time.
Yeah, I know. Logan tried to get me in on his show, and I told him I'm gonna have to bow out tonight. So I'll catch him on the flip side. Adam, hey, I haven't spoken with you in a while, man. So after I casted with him last night, I automatically had you going in my head. I said, holy shit, I've left Adam hanging for a long time. I better text his ass and find out what's going on.
You hung out with Tom the other day, right?
Yeah. Tom and I hang out. That was last week, I think, when we hung out.
Yeah, it was last week.
Yeah, but, Chase, I was just getting ready to say the Denver Broncos were willing to trade Jerry Jeudy for fortune cookies.
Right.
Now, Jerry Jeudy is not the game-breaking number one receiver, but he has speed. He has the ability to penetrate the defenders. I've seen it before, little bits and pieces and little spurts. I've seen the talent there, but he hasn't had good quarterbacks there or a good offensive game plan. I was totally up for Green Bay getting Jerry Jeudy for basically nothing.
Marquise Brown went to the Cardinals for a under-the-table job. It was like, come on. And how good would a Jerry Jeudy or a Brandon Cooks look on the other side of the field from Allen Lazard? 6'5" and 5'5" and running a 4.3. How nice would that look in terms of complementary football? Right?
A little bit better.
And now put Romeo Doubs in a 3-wide set.
Yep.
With either Tunyon or DeGuara underneath that.
Yeah.
That one addition to that team, a legitimate receiver addition. You can't lose one of the top 3 or 4 options at a position on that team and literally replace it with nothing. And that's essentially what they did.
Yeah. Exactly.
It boggles the mind. It absolutely boggles the mind. They had a ready-made, it was, to some extent, it was a bummer to see them have to let Zadarius Smith go. And you understood it for financial reasons and that, but they also had a ready-made replacement behind him to step up because Rashawn Gary has developed like they had hoped he would. So they didn't lose that guy who had been a cornerstone of their defense for so long and have no plan behind it. It was a ready-made plan. That was but to lose a Davante Adams level player and have absolutely no idea how you're going to fill that in. And then behind that, to lose, like you said, as much as I'm not a Giant fan, to lose MVS on top of that. So now you've lost your 2 top guys.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dereliction of duty, if nothing else. And we can sit here and talk about it till we're all blue or green and yellow in the face or whatever. But as Aaron said, they're going to have to run with what they got now.
Yep. Unfortunately. Unfortunately.
And the frustrating thing is they actually do have some space right now under the cap where a move they haven't had the space in years past. They have been in a position in years past where they have not had the space to make the kind of move we all would love to see them make if we were playing Madden.
Yeah, they could have brought in Jerry Jeudy and the Broncos would have paid about 70% of his salary. They would have been on the hook for just like 6 figures and that's it.
And they still would have had money under the cap.
Yep.
Yeah. They're in a good position right now because of not paying Davante Adams all that money, and not paying it to anybody else either, because of the Rodgers restructure. They have space. They had space that a move yesterday would not have had to been, and they hang on to those picks. And
so
I get like you said.
Up and you guys finish in the top 5 picks. Do you pick a quarterback?
It depends. I don't think they're sold on Jordan Love. but I don't think they necessarily pick a quarterback in top five.
They said there's a lot more better quarterbacks coming out of this draft next year than there was last year.
This is supposed to be one of the best drafts of recent memory for quarterback wise, and that'd be a tough debate to have because they don't necessarily know what they have yet in Jordan Love. I don't think.
Nope.
They haven't been able to watch him enough, and it's not like it was when Rodgers got to sit behind Favre,
Right. Much different situation.
They actually got to watch Rodgers in the preseason some. Rodgers had a couple of games. He had the game against the Cowboys that night, the night game against the Cowboys, where he came in and led them almost to a win against them where they were both 13-1. I think it was like the latest in the season that two teams that had 13 wins and played each other or something like that.
Yep.
They had seen stuff out of Aaron Rodgers, and then obviously he's the talent that he is. So I have a hard time believing that doesn't show through in practice at least at some point.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
How bad is that thumb?
But I don't think that's been the issue. I don't think that's been the problem for him.
I'm just curious because it seems to be keeping him out of practice.
It's the other end of that hookup that's been the problem because there has been no other reliable end of that hookup. But if they were to go out and try and draft another guy, I mean, if the right guy's there, I guess. But but how do you know? How do you know right now? Because you don't know what you got in Love. So then, if you go out and make that pick, if you're essentially going to call the ball on Love at that point, you're telling me we couldn't have made that call 3-4 years ago? What have we been doing this whole freaking time?
Exactly. That's a very good point. And that's why it gets back to the point I made earlier about maybe getting Jordan Love a few more reps here with the rest of the regular season to go. See what you do have in him.
If this season is absolutely shot to hell in another couple of weeks here, if you can give him 5 or 6 games of actual football and not just preseason running around with car salesmen,
right?
Why not at that point? And why risk getting Rodgers hurt?
Well, and you know what? LaFleur doesn't even have to bench Rodgers entirely. He can just go up to Aaron, if he dare, and say, look, Aaron, we're just going to go ahead and play you 50% of the snaps. We'll have Jordan do the other 50% of the snaps, maybe in the shotgun, maybe in the I form. How do you feel about that?
Or we'll give him a couple of drives a half every game. Let him run the 2-minute drill at the end of the first half once in a while or something. And get him some actual football playing time. If you're not going anywhere, there's really no reason not to.
Yep.
Unfortunately, it's just weird to be talking like that, man. When I saw all these people that were like, hey, if Rodgers doesn't want to be here, screw it. Let him go. Get rid of him. And I'm thinking, you guys, I'm old enough to remember before we had a Hall of Fame quarterback for 30 straight years.
Yeah, back to back.
Right? It's not like that everywhere. No one outside of New England has had as consistent a run of good quarterback play as the Packers have seen. Yep. People forget what it was like to finish 4-12 every year.
So your Bledsoe and Tom Brady, is that what we're talking about here?
Was that? Oh, yeah. Well, you know what I mean. You don't get 20 straight years, let alone 30 plus like the Packers since 1992. You don't get 30 straight years of Hall of Fame quarterback play. It's like these people forget like those couple of years that Rodgers has been hurt and we started 3 or 4 guys of the same season. Most teams start 2-3 guys in the same season because of injuries or whatever else.
You mean to tell me that you don't have any fond memories of Don Majkowski?
I have great memories of Don Majkowski for one damn year, and he didn't make the playoffs even. He was a lot of fun and sold a lot of posters, for one goddamn year, but they didn't make the playoffs even that year. I remember Blair Keel and Randy Wright, and yet I remember those guys and watching them try and throw the football and play football. Yeah. I remember Bart Starr and Forrest Gregg not as players but as head coaches. And it was not
Chase,
pretty.
You weren't able to join us, but what quarterback were you taking?
For all-time Packer quarterback?
Yeah.
It's tough because I think that Rodgers is the most physically gifted one they've had, but I think I would take Favre just for independent of his recent, media fame. I think I would take Favre just for what he meant to the organization and the iconic status that he was. I think Aaron Rodgers is the most talented quarterback they've had. I think Brett Favre he and Reggie together were the two that lifted the franchise from that sustained run of not even mediocrity.
Yeah.
And Bart Starr was a great player for his time, but it's apples to oranges to, nuts at that point.
I took Brett Starr.
I mean, I love it. I love him to death. Here, I bought his jersey. I figure when you buy a guy who's in the Hall of Fame, I know that Bart Starr isn't going to be playing for anybody else for the rest of his career. I can't say that for Favre, and I can't say that for necessarily for Rodgers right now. I know Starr ain't playing for anybody else, so I'll go play. I'll go grab the Starr jersey.
Hey guys, it's been fun.
Jay, I forget, who did you take? Did you take Favre or did you take Rodgers?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I seem to recall taking Bart Starr. Well, actually, no. I think I took Brett Favre. I don't remember. I was so
He's just got that icon status for me. But
yeah, it's been a while back. Hey,
Jason,
guys,
it's been fun.
Yeah, I'd love to chat more, but I got to go. Chase, it was a pleasure meeting you, talking Packers football tonight. Adam, it's always a pleasure being on with you. Sorry I've dissed you for so long, my friend. It won't happen
That's
again.
all right. We'll get it back together, buddy. We'll get the band back together.
Absolutely.
We need to talk with Mark. Chase, I think you'd like talking with Mark as well.
Yeah.
I know it's hard to get you right now doing 80
Yeah, well, no,
shows a week.
it's been a long time for me too, man. I felt bad too. I was like, I keep ghosting.
We almost had our Bears
fan
fan on here tonight too. Well, almost.
Now I'm definitely out. Okay. Yeah. I'll catch you guys on the flip side. Have a good one.
Have a good
All
one,
right,
Jason.
guys. Take it easy.
All right. Yeah, I probably got kids I got to get to bed too here, to be honest
That's
with
all
you.
right.
But it's been
fun,
good
Chase. Thank
seeing
you
you
for
again.
stopping by.
It's nice talking with guys
Like
that
you
actually.
said, you're welcome back anytime. You know that. I always send
Awesome.
you the invite.
Yeah, let me know. But yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to see a whole hell of a lot coming from the Packers right now. I don't see them stepping out. Again, I'm hopeful that they may pick up, say, Beckham if he comes back in a month here. I'm hopeful that, say, if Cooks was released, that they might sign him. I don't throw any stock in the T.Y. Hilton, Kenny Stills kind of rumors that the Will Fuller rumors that you hear all the time. If Kenny Stills and Will Fuller and T.Y. Hilton were supposed to be playing pro football, they'd be on rosters right now. So I'm not, even if the Packers decided to bring all three of them in tomorrow, I wouldn't light my fire.
You just named two ex-Titans or Texans.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah,
And then we were
between
just
Stills
talking
and
about
Fuller.
the other one too. I think
Right,
he
yeah,
played
Stills,
with both
Fuller,
of
and
them,
Hook.
didn't he?
Cooks. Yeah. Why are we're all grabbing all these?
Didn't he
all
play?
these guys.
Didn't he play with both of them?
I think so. But yeah, I don't know. I'm hopeful that they might be able to make some kind of addition here. I'm not expecting it. And unfortunately, barring that, I just don't see I don't think that Watson looks like he's going to be able to remain healthy enough right now, at least this season, to be able to be anything special. So, and Lazard's had trouble staying on the field. It might be a rough year to be a Packer fan. If they can get in the tournament, like always, I mean, who knows? Look at what the Phillies are doing right now.
Yeah.
If you can get in the postseason, if you make it that far, anything can happen. Especially in football, where it's just a series of one-offs. Anybody can get hot at the right time. Heck, when Rodgers did win his Super Bowl, they were the last wild card team. They were not. That was not the year they won 15 games. That was not the year that they were the top of everything.
When you get hot,
right? The Giants can speak to that too with Eli Manning for both of their runs. They got hot at the right time of year.
yes, sir.
But I just without them getting some things figured out offensively, the defense has been a shambles too. Unless they can get some things figured out offensively and come up with some kind of identity and get some consistent play from both the line and the receiving core, it's a middle of the road team, and that's a tough thing to swallow. As a Packer fan who's been used to, like I said, we've had 30 years now of quarterback play at the top of the league. We're looking at the tail end of that run now with Rodgers. We don't know how long we're going to have that. I think a lot of Packer fans are going to have to gird their loins and steel themselves for a possible sustained run of.
We're adjusting to it right now too.
Right? Yeah, You guys are going through the transition right now too.
And I don't mind that we're losing as long as I'm watching Kenny Pickett do it. Like if I gotta watch Mitch
Yeah.
Trubisky lose games for us,
To be honest with you, that offensive line has done a little bit better pass blocking than I thought they would. I thought that because they were so terrible last year. Pittsburgh's line was so bad, and they're not a great line this year. I mean, they refuse to block for Najee Harris and to actually open up any livable, runnable holes. But they are pass blocking a little better than I think people thought they would. It's just, yeah, the Mitch Trubisky thing just didn't work out. And I was bigger on that. I thought that it was a better opportunity for them to let Trubisky have the year.
I think once they picked Pickett, I think Trubisky's shit was done. I thought
Then
they
they
should
had
have
to.
started Pickett in the beginning of the season and just said,
Right.
"Sorry, Mitch, you're just going back to being a back."
You're right, and it was weird that Pickett went from being their third string, and everything that they put out there said, "Oh, we're going to let Trubisky be the classic." They only signed him for 2 years. His second year is very, very easy to get out from underneath, and it looked like he was going to be that classic transition quarterback. Let Pickett develop for a year or two, and then put him in. But I agree with you. Once they made that move, it was like, no, you cannot go back. And now it's just, sink or swim, Ken. Good luck.
All right. Well, it's 4-0, just to let you know. Astros, the Astros right now, but I've seen this before.
Yeah.
Game 2.
Right. Yeah. 3. I'm hoping, because I'll tell you what, 3-1 to me, 3-1 Phillies would look a lot better than 2-2, right now. But I would much rather see the Phillies take the whole thing by this point.
I know
I think it's a fun story. I'm still not a big. I know the Astros got a long way to go to earn back anybody's good graces outside of Houston. I think.
Completely agree.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to take off here. I'm going to get going. Try and put my kids to bed and keep the
Tell
wife
your
happy.
wife
So,
thanks for letting you come on too.
not a problem. It's good to see you again. Like I said,
Yes.
everybody, you can catch me on Twitter at STTChaseFFB. Check me out over at bellyupfantasysports.com. I just released a comprehensive article on the trade deadline and the fantasy fallout from everybody from the McCaffrey trade all the way through the Bradley Chubb and Jeff Wilson trades. So check that out over there. But Adam, thanks for having me on, and we will be back. I will be back. Keep at me.
One more thing, Chase. Talking
Yeah.
fantasy, I made a killer trade. I traded the first round in Kirk Cousins for Josh Allen in a Dynasty Keeper League.
You got the better end of that one, dude. That's all right.
And
That
I
is
got
all-
Jalen
yeah.
Hurts. It's a double
Yeah.
starter, double QB starter league. Jalen
Yeah, I've
Hurts
got-
and Josh Allen to grow on.
I've had some, and you get so many the thing about Dynasty, and again, I'll get off here in a second, but the thing about Dynasty is you get so many guys that are throwing, guys, girls, whoever, throwing you out these trades that don't make any sense. Now, depending on where this other team is, I don't know where this other team's at, but depending on where they're at with their roster and their window of competition, a first and another quarterback, and Kirk Cousins is a legitimate starting. He's a top 12 type
And
quarterback.
he just got Hawkinson too.
Yeah, for fantasy purposes, Kirk Cousins, whatever anybody else wants to think of him real life wise, for fantasy purposes, Kirk Cousins is a legitimate starting quarterback. And if it's a 2 quarterback league, Kirk Cousins and a first for Josh Allen is not the most out of the blue, trade proposal. I've had dudes try and give me a 4th round pick for a top 12 type wide receiver and be like, oh, here you go. No, come on. At least make it worth my while, because even if I'm in a rebuild, I don't just want a random ass draft pick for nothing in return. I don't want to just take a random draft pick and give you a guy that I can build around. You're in a dynasty format, especially in a super flex. Wide receivers and quarterbacks are gold right now for in that standpoint. So, getting a quarterback and a 1 for Allen. That's not, that's,
I thought it was a good
but that's
trade.
still a good, it is. It's a good trade. It's a trade that, like you said, because he's got other options there too. So he got Cousins back. It's not like he took a crazy hit on it. Plus he's got a number 1 pick he's got a 1st round pick going into a great
Right.
quarterback draft if he wants it. he can still set himself up, whoever this other dude is, he can still set himself up great for the future.
Right.
No, that's an awesome trade. But yeah, I've got Allen in one of my dynasty leagues, and I'm like, yeah, we're gonna hang on to that because
I love it. I got 2 young guys. I got Allen and Hurts.
nice. I've got Allen. I think in the same league I have Allen. I also have Zach Wilson, who is not panning out great, but he's. I've also got Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is a guy I'm high on, and I know that they didn't pick up his option, and I know there's some question on how long he's going to be in New York. But Daniel Jones he's kind of been saddled with the Alex Smith disease, where he's had like 89 coordinators and 16 different head coaches in the last half hour or so. Like they keep trying to teach him a new scheme. He can't get any consistency in that coaching staff.
Seems
if
like
you
they might
give
find a
Daniel
coach
Jones,
for him.
I think Brian Daboll has been a great hire for New York. And I think if you give Daniel Jones some consistency, he's a great runner. He's one of the top 3 or 4 running quarterbacks in the whole game.
He's probably one of those 3 we were just talking about.
Right.
Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, and
yeah,
right now
I love
Mahomes
how
isn't even running the ball that much.
And I mean, it's hard to judge his passing performance necessarily this year when his receiver core has been so damn screwed up. But I think if you give him some consistency from his coaching staff standpoint, I really like where Daniel Jones is going. So yeah, I'm thrilled in that league because, like you said, I got 2 young guys who I believe
he
in.
has to show us he can go a full 80 yard and not fall at the 20.
Yeah, well, hey, I'll take an 80-yard run from a quarterback, though, man. That's all right. Yeah, would it be nice to 5 more strides and get your ass in the end zone? Yeah, but hey, I've been there too, man. And my first rugby practice ever.
One day, and they said go, and my feet just were like
didn't go.
new.
I was not prepared for the rigors of rugby, even coming from playing college football. I graduated college and I practiced with a local rugby team in my hometown for a while. And the first day we went there, I was like, oh, hey, and I came from being a running back. I'm a little guy. I'm fast. I was fast, was quick. Yeah. Get on a breakaway, and I think I got. There's nobody between me and the try line. I'm like, hell yeah, I want to take this thing all the way. And I got about probably 15 meters from and nobody between me. And like my quads just stopped working. And I was like, oh damn, I got all tired. Legs wouldn't move. Fell over. I was not ready for the football physicality at the soccer pace, shall we say?
Right.
But so I don't blame anybody for falling down on the 20.
Rugby is one of those sports that you have to train for.
Oh, I love
and
it.
It's a whole different training like you wouldn't believe.
Yep. I love watching it, but yeah, it's a different level of cardiovascular. Football's a stop and start. Football stop, start.
Right.
And you have to be in shape. Go. But yeah, rugby, there's none of that like letdown. It's not stop and then go. Stop, wait a minute, and then go. It's continually going on and on. And yeah, for a guy who was a sprinter myself and not necessarily always in the best of shape anyway, I was not ready for that. But like I said, I'm going to get going. But yeah, keep me in mind. It's great to see you.
Yes, sir. Nice
Everybody
seeing you
keep
again.
tuning in.
Hey, man, have a good one.
Awesome.
If we can do this Wednesday, let's bullshit.
Hey, I'm up for it. If you are, let me know. All right.
All right, buddy.
Slange, everybody.
Cheers. All right, everybody. Have a good night. I just went over some Packers and what they think about the rest of the season. All right, everyone. Have a good one.